I've never been a sunglasses wearer, but I've definitely become one since being in this band.
Love
I don't know.
it.
I think sunglasses are just a good representation of the direction we're going.
I mean, also, if vampires are in society, that they're wearing sunglasses on
You're
the
definitely
reg.
wearing
Like,
sunglasses
they would
at
need
night.
Well, I had
to.
never even thought about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Nerdlandia.
Welcome to Nerdlandia for another bonus episode. Today's featured guest is Vempire, with an E. Okay, so you remember how in Greek mythology that Athena just sprang fully formed from Zeus's skull? Well, that's kind of the origin story for Vempire. It's the brainchild of Lindsey and Mikey, who were able to hit the ground running and churn out some amazing music in the band's relatively short existence. We talk about how they're able to make that happen, and they share two of their songs, including a currently unreleased single that you might be hearing a bit of right now. Oh, and quick content warning, the episode contains cursing and a story about weed gummies. I have just been thoroughly enjoying the name Vempire. It's been like so fun to say in my head because obviously it sounds like you're saying it with like a jokey Transylvanian accent. Firstly, kudos. It's an amazing name. How did you come up with it?
What we tried to accomplish, I think, with this project was what the mood and the aesthetic was going to be before we wrote any songs, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a band born from an aesthetic. I
Yeah.
think.
Love it.
Well, and we made some Spotify playlists and traded them and said like this is what our band will sound like. And the two playlists gelled together really well, really naturally, I think, which was a very good first step in the band building process. And then I think it might have been at least the first name that was worthy of text messaging to Lindsey and saying, "Is this dumb or awesome?" And she said both.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly, I feel like,
Yes.
what we go for. Dumb and awesome.
Oh, yes. What kind of vampire media do you resonate most with? Like what brand of vampires are we talking about here?
Ooh, that's
Oh
a good
goodness.
question.
I think that like the Twilight movies are like super dumb. I've never watched them. I think it's like the dumbest fairy tale depiction of vampires, but I watched every episode of Vampire Diaries on the CW and I think that that's like a really really good show. But I don't know if it's because of the vampires per se. I think it's because of the like teen drama that I can't stay away from following.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the opposite route with that. I read all the Twilight books when I was in middle school, and I saw the first couple movies. Then I kind of stopped, thought it was dumb, and then I rewatched it recently, and I'm kind of obsessed. The soundtrack is amazing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't resonate with it aesthetically, I would say. I don't think it relates much to the band, but I'll admit I'm hopping on that Twilight train.
This is a safe space, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm so old that I had one of the first computers that could play a video file. It was a Power Macintosh. It didn't have a CD drive, but among the floppy disks, you could play a series of, I don't know, 13-second videos that were very, very low quality. And that's where I watched a clip of Nosferatu, the
Hmm.
silent film, and it scared the fucking shit out of me when I was a little kid, like watching it in the dark, just like exploring floppy disks. And I found that I didn't know what it was at the time. I just knew that it was terrifying.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I have always loved just kind of vintage horror movies and like the look of it. And I think that
Yeah.
is kind of what I have related to, especially when Mikey first brought up the name Vempire. That's kind of what I thought of is like that old, vintagey, like kind of gritty but like campy, like old horror stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For me, it definitely evokes What We Do in the Shadows,
Hmm.
the TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the playlist of inspiration. Who's on the playlist?
Definitely the chromatics. Lots of the chromatics.
Yes.
I really love the 80s, the vibes that like techie, like morose kinds of stylings. So I guess what made you want to like lean that direction aesthetically?
I learned after, I think, a couple songs in that I could kind of emote in a way that I didn't know that I could if I knew that Lindsey was going to be singing the song instead of
Oh my
me.
gosh, yes, your voice.
Thank you.
Just love that in the tracks.
Like a lot of people, when I finally started thinking about lyrics and approaching song lyrics, they were very sad. And I realized that there's been a lot of things to be stressed out and a lot of things to be sad about. And as I started to read the lyrics over and over again, I doubled down on text messaging Lindsey and reminding her that I was okay and not to worry about me. And then naturally, how do you juxtapose those thoughts in lyric form? And we decided that, you know, you should be able to dance to it or bob your head so it doesn't sound like a total fucking pain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice contrast. And it's always kind of fun because Mikey does all the writing and all the lyrics and everything. So I'll usually get like a 3 a.m. text from Mikey that's like, hey, here's a new one. And I'll listen to the music for it. And it usually comes separate. Like he sends just the music. And I'm like, okay, this is a dancey tune. And then he'll
Yeah.
send the lyrics. I'm like, oh, damn. But it's so interesting to hear how they come together, and usually it does when we're recording the song.
Yeah,
So we'll go over to our friend Alex, who records all of our music. We'll go over to his house, record it. I'll kind of learn the song on the spot and we'll put it together that way. And like it seems like every time me or Alex is like, hey Mikey, what's this song about? So it's kind of
Yeah.
fun to like learn as we go and get a
Yes.
very interesting insight to Mikey's brain.
Yeah.
I love that.
And my sister Amy runs a comedy club in North Carolina, and we were talking about this. She knows that some of the funniest comics in the entire world are kind of damaged people, or they at least can access some really, really shitty thoughts. And that's what their comedy is, their cure to that. And I've always felt that if I write something really fucked up down, then it doesn't really bother me in my day to day anymore. It's kind of like I've flushed it out of me in a way.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally agree with that about comedy and kind of like alchemizing the pain and where your music is like dancing and everything. To me, like the way I interpret it is like almost finding a way to laugh at yourself a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
So, what was the first song that you wanted to share?
Sunglasses, I think that was our very first release, and that one was one of the first ones we practiced together. Kind of a hit, if I'm being honest.
You're like my favorite pair of sunglasses. I wore you out during summer classes. Someone pulled you off my face and put them on. They must have gotten misplaced. I ran and rode a haunted farm from coast to coast to find out where you are. I got back home, I scored a drop. I lined my pockets, the
So what was the process behind creating that song?
I mean, it was the first time we had ever written a song together, for starters, which is
Mm.
awesome. And I like to include Ghost Like, Lindsey's other project, in this, but
Yes.
I haven't been in a lot of projects that didn't have like some disgusting growing pains that like bled into the discography and everything. And so one of the goals with this project was to kind of hit the ground knowing exactly who we are and what we're going to sound like. We can expand from that.
This has been a fun project that's different in that way because I feel like Mikey just busts things out like one after the other, and it's like we kind of give everything a fair go. It seems like, which is fun, and then we kind of decide what to do next. So that's been very different because, like Mikey said, I've only been in one other band, and it's been a very different experience, and it's great.
Yeah. So were there any new songs that you're working on that you wanted to share?
Yeah. I think we're going to play Electricity on here.
Lindsey, what's your favorite part of that song?
Honestly, learning what it was about.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, this is going to be very strange, Mikey, hearing me tell what the song is about.
No, I love it. I love it.
So Mikey got electrocuted when he was like 5, right? Is this correct?
Well, the term electrocuted actually means
That you
it
would
killed
die.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he got severely
You got
shocked.
Okay.
Yes.
But obviously, Mikey's still here with us today, so
Yes.
Yeah.
that. But the way he described it, it sounds like it really just changed the trajectory of his life, and there's
Okay.
still effects from that today. Yeah, it's a very interesting song, and the end is a lot of fun.
Approached me when I was 5, saw I was feeling fine, decided to ruin my life. Stabbed me at lock and key, and had the audacity to leave me here out wild. Followed me home from Texas, and boldly wedged between this future I was expected. Blacked out my memory, replaced with repeat haunting of the worst thing to ever happen to me. Approached me when I was 5, saw I was feeling fine, decided to ruin my life. Begged me to play guitar, entertain and seminar, and often hit the space bar. Dictates the palm of my hand, it steers me from capable into a person so ungrateful. Could have just finished me off at 5, but with torturous refine, will slowly tick the time away. I'm a slave, I have nothing to say. Just let me go. Just stop helping me waste my life away. I give up. I beg you. I am nothing because of you. All my brain children
it's a song about, I think, the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It's like, the traumatic thing that happened to me. And I've had decades to come to terms with that and get over it. And I'm fine. I've learned that everybody has something terrible that happens to them. And kind of what the gist of the song is about is that this thing that tried to kill me is now my purpose in life, both through music or my job as a software engineer or the video games that I collect unhealthily and the musical gear that I play.
Yeah.
Everything is powered by this thing that betrayed me once when I was a child.
Damn. That's pretty amazing.
That's
I
what
love
I
how
said.
deep that got. Whoa.
I mean, I could say that it is, but again, like, I have very good friends that have had way, at least equally fucked up shit happen to them in the
Well,
last like 5
sure.
years, and they had to deal with it as adults or parents or whatever, and so it's fine.
But we don't need to do the suffering Olympics over here, okay? So to start to wrap things up, Lindsey, if you were to like design some flash to represent Vempire, what would it look like? Or just like a single
Ooh.
design?
Well, I
Or
actually
have you?
drew our first like design we ever had. We
Oh,
made stickers, and
nice.
that's the only merch we have right now. But I did draw
Okay.
that. It's just like a little eyeball with some bat wings on it. Pretty straightforward. My first thought that came to mind is just like, this is pretty cliche, but just some sunglasses, because I've never been a sunglasses wearer at all. But I've definitely become one since being in this band.
Love
And
it.
I think just like trying to embrace that, like, I don't know, sunglasses feel a little bit bitchy, they feel a little cunty, and like we're really trying to embrace that and like play
Yeah.
into that like whole, like, the aesthetic is almost as important as like the music. So I don't know, I think sunglasses are just a good representation of the direction we're going.
I mean, also, if vampires are in society, that they're wearing sunglasses on
You're
the
definitely
reg.
wearing
Like,
sunglasses
they would
at
need
night.
Well, I had
to.
never even thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I just think of like the 80s aesthetic, I just think of like some cool dude and some sunglasses, and
Yeah.
we haven't played any shows yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing some sunglasses on stage at night.
Hell yes.
When I wear
Obviously.
sunglasses and Thirst Things First, but I have to like look at my guitar while I'm wearing sunglasses, it's impossible. And so in this project, it's going to be a lot easier. We're learning how to perform live.
Yes.
Starting next Monday.
Yeah.
I think I learned how to play the piano like last weekend.
Props.
It's gonna be very new for the both of us. I mean, Mikey has been playing shows live for a long time, but music is very new to me in general. Like, I didn't know how to play bass before I joined Ghostlike, so playing an instrument or even being in front of people is like so new to me and terrifying. And like, just thinking about how I'm going to be on stage and not have anything to do with my hands is very it'll be a learning process, and I'm excited that we're, like I said, Mikey's been doing it for a long time, but I think it'll still be very new to the both of us. And
Yep.
yeah, kind of nice that we're gonna figure it out together.
That's
Aw.
adorable. Well, thank you both so much for joining me. It was amazing to hear more about your music, and I can't wait to hear the next songs that you have coming out.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Vempire totally nailed the vibe they're going for, and I'm here for it. I'm not an 80s kid, but it brings me right back to my childhood where I listened to that era of music on repeat. Their new single, Electricity, gave me all the goosebumps, and I got totally lost in that incredible dance break interlude. Just so good. Give Vempire a follow so you get all the updates on their new songs and shows. I'll have their page and other projects linked in the show notes below. Check back next week for another new episode. Nerdlandia is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Case Buskirk. Theme song and ending credit music by Keith West. Cover art by Ellen Stubbings.
I got some like weed gummies during the pandemic, and I went to Hy-Vee to go shopping, like with my mask on and everything, and I was wearing my sunglasses because I was high, and I was listening to music with my AirPods, and I realized I was trying to open like a produce bag for probably like 11 minutes. And when I finally realized what I was doing, I looked up, and some like Hy-Vee employee kids were looking at me, and they were like, look at Grandpa with the sunglasses,
right? Yeah.
with the bag.